Our final presentation today is on a widely discussed topic, unlocking the power of AI and ML to defend, prioritize, and reduce your cybersecurity risk. Leading us into the session will be Mehul Revankar, VP Product Management and Engineering with Qualys, alongside Dilip Bachwani, CTO and SVP Qualys Cloud Platform, Qualys.
Oh, I love the way you dance. Oh, how you move.
Hello, everyone. I hope you guys are enjoying the conference and the sessions we've had today. As you've seen throughout the day, there is a lot of innovation that we have been working on. And through these jam-packed sessions, you're probably getting that sense that we do like to share everything that we are working on with our customers. And in this session, I'm going to talk a little bit about what we are doing on the AI and ML front, especially as we are integrating this more closely into our entire enterprise TruRisk platform. Our goal here really is to use AI-driven insights for you to identify risk or to help you quantify risk in your environment, so you can focus on that and de-risk your business. So AI in cybersecurity is not new. It's not new at Qualys either. We have been using it extensively in our platform for network and anomaly detection, for malware detection, for endpoint protection, and many other use cases. What we are talking about now is, as we are looking at TruRisk and enterprise TruRisk, how do we fold this across every area and help you quantify risk further using AI-driven insights? AI is a powerful tool. I think we all know that. But as the hype might suggest right now, it is not the answer for everything. What we are focusing on is real, tangible use cases that we can use within our platform to provide real value using ML and AI across the enterprise TruRisk platform. Now, one of the things that I really want to talk about here is data. Now, when you talk about AI and ML, the way it works is these models are trained using data that we give it, and then they do predictive analytics based on that data. So ultimately, the outcomes, the AI outcomes that we are talking about, are only as good as the quality of the data and the volume of the data that you use to train these models. And for us, we feel that is the big differentiator. We have that real high-fidelity data and massive volumes of data on top of which we are building our platform and we are building out these insights. So the Qualys Enterprise TruRisk Platform, this is a purpose-built, petabyte-scale security data lake. Everything that we are doing for enterprise TruRisk, our entire enterprise TruRisk platform, is built on top of this data lake. We have trillions of high-fidelity data events. These events are across vulnerabilities, across misconfigurations, across cloud, across SaaS, across OT, IoT, basically everything that we are collecting into the platform. We are storing this into our platform, and then we are doing analytics based on top of that. Some numbers here. Today, we have about 10,000 global customers, over 10,000 global customers. We have 14 global multi-tenant platforms. Each of these platforms is operating at a massive scale globally, including there are gov clouds here in North America and in Europe. We have 75+ on-prem setups, some of which are just as big as some of our smaller multi-tenant platforms because they are set up for customers that are working at a hyperscale. We obviously have very large data volumes, over 30 petabytes of data on our platform. But really the big thing here that I want to highlight is the number of agents. We have over 105 million agents that are deployed out there today. We have over 100,000 scanner appliances that are deployed out. And it's these agents and scanners that are continually collecting data, bringing that up to the platform, and we are doing analysis on that data. Now, the volume of data that is coming in, like as an example, our message bus, every single day is handling about 40+ billion messages. That translates to about 500,000 messages per second that we are processing on our platforms. And then really the crown jewel here is the security data points that we have indexed, over 13 trillion that we have. And it's really this data set that we are using and working on for our AI-driven true risk insights. Generative AI. Now today you can't really do a talk on AI without talking about generative AI. Over the past couple of days, I've had many customers I've talked to asking, hey, what is Qualys doing on generative AI? This is transformational, generative AI, and not just for security, but for all industries. Just the ability to interact with a system using plain English, to converse with a system using plain English, to get insights from it, to get summarization from it is transformational. And there is a certain use case for it in security. And we will also be rolling this out into our platform. And we will be doing a short demo of this during this talk. Now, I want to quickly talk about some of the areas that we are focusing on to keep this more concrete in terms of what is it that we are releasing over the next few months in the context of true risk with our deep learning models, and then in the context of generative AI. So one of the things that we are focusing on is asset criticality and asset risk. And the theme and idea here is that in addition to getting insights that are more rule-based or getting insights that are more threat indicator-based, we are collecting all the data that we have. We are doing analysis on that data using our ML and deep learning models. We are combining that with past patterns, exploit patterns, and then we are deriving results out of that that we can apply for your subscription to tell you what you can focus on in your environment, to tell you what is an asset in your environment that is critical, but potentially you might have overlooked it as being critical because the criteria that you have set up didn't flag that as critical. Similarly, you might have an asset in your environment that you haven't flagged as high risk, but based on all the analysis that we are doing, combining that with all the network data and other telemetry that we have, for us to be able to highlight that a particular asset is high risk, and this is something that you should focus on and act on to reduce your true risk. And then finally, as I said, with generative AI, we are also rolling out Gen AI capabilities. I think most of you are very familiar with Qualys query language, where you can use QQL to build dashboards, to do all kinds of queries in your subscription to collect data and visualize data. We are taking that a step further now, where using natural language, using plain English, you will be able to query, ask questions, and then get results and responses based on that, starting with VMDR. So I'm going to call out our VP of Product Management for VMDR, Mehul Revankar, now to come out and to talk about these in a little bit more detail, and then to do a demo for each of these as we are preparing these to get this out and have this be available in your subscription over the next few months.
I promise this is the last session of the day. We're getting there, we're getting there. Super. Huh? No. This is a physical me, not an avatar. I'm still alive, going through, and this is the last session. Okay, cool. So to understand the power of AI, I think we have to acknowledge what is the state of the union today before we get into the power of AI. And the way we think of, as Dilip talked about, the way we think about AI is not as a buzzword, but more about driving outcomes, positive outcomes for our customers. And there are three key use cases that we have identified. One is identifying assets that are high value or critical within your organization, identifying assets that are at risk of exploitation, and then the third key use case that we have identified, and this is again based on a lot of feedback from our customers, how do we make it easier for our new customers to engage with our platform? So let's get started. So let's say today you want to find critical assets within your organization. What's your workflow today? You probably start with creating dashboards, writing QQL queries, finding assets that are tagging them in a certain way. For example, these are high critical assets. You're probably creating some tags, creating rules to find assets. So for example, let's say you want to flag your production assets. You're going through this process, manual process of finding critical assets. And notice it requires a special knowledge about your infrastructure. Right? So in this case, I've identified, hey, if these are my critical assets, I'm going to mark them with the asset criticality score of 5. I'm going to create a dynamic rule. If the asset name contains production, this is a critical asset, and done. Right? So this is a very manual, static way. And then the platform learns from here. Now let's take a look at an example. How do you identify high-risk assets? So now that you've set your asset criticality, the true risk score takes into account the criticality of the asset. It finds things that are high risk based on this true risk scoring formula. And now you go. So now you understand these are my critical assets, these are my high-risk assets, and then you go from there. Now, this is good for what we have today. But what if we could auto-magically figure those things out? So one of the power of AI is to connect the dots, find hidden truths within the ecosystem by connecting the different dots within the organization. So this is where true risk AI comes into picture. It's going to look at all the data that we have collected from the platform, trillions of data points that Dilip talked about. It's going to learn from the way you have configured your systems. It's also going to learn from the Qualys platform. And it's going to find out assets it has high risk auto-magically. So from our perspective, this is the holy grail of finding high-value assets. So the true risk AI has auto-magically figured out that these are critical assets. It has looked at a couple of findings on this asset. It has connected the dots. Hey, this is a database running on this asset. It's exposed to the internet. And it is marked as low value. That's not true. So we should probably mark this as a critical asset. And it's going to make a recommendation to you. At that point, you can recommend, accept the recommendation, or reject the recommendation. If you accept the recommendation, the model learns from you. And it gets better over time. Now, if a low-value asset had a critical finding, who cares? Right? But if a high-value asset had a critical finding, you do care about it, right? So now AI has identified an asset that was low value to high value. It has also taken into account information about the tags about that asset, and it has marked it as critical. Now, if a critical finding shows up on this asset, what do you do with it? You don't mark it low value, do you? So suddenly, this is an app that is part of the checkout application, and it doesn't have any it doesn't have any endpoint protection agent installed, and it has a critical ransomware exploitable vulnerability on it. Do you still mark this as a low-value asset, or low-risk asset, or a high-risk asset? So the AI model is going to learn from here and automatically flag this as a critical high-risk asset that you need to prioritize for remediation. So instead of you manually creating the rules, Qualys TrueRisk AI will automatically identify hidden risks within the platform. Similar scenario, if there is an active attack that is detected on an asset, it will automatically highlight assets that are high risk. Now let's take a look at how this will work through. So we talked about the two key use cases, identifying critical assets, identifying high-risk assets. But we're also thinking about, well, how can we make it easier for our customers to engage with our platform much easier? So you can ask questions to the platform, get quick insights about, for example, MITRE attack techniques, or you can directly talk to the platform. So this is where we have trained our model using Gen AI capabilities, and we have indexed our entire QQL database. And one of the things we hear from our customers is QQL is great, and once they learn it, they love it. Right? But the starting point could take some time to learn the Qualys query language. What if there is a way to directly talk to the Qualys platform and get answers from it? So this is where we're using natural language processing to communicate with the platform. So let's take a look. So instead of typing in QQL, you can ask a simple question. Show me all critical assets with a ransomware vulnerability. That's it. So we have trained the model to translate this directly into a Qualys query language query. Boom. Within seconds, it translates that into a QQL and finds the results for it. But not only that, it understands what questions you have asked to the platform. Let's say you want to refine this further. Let's say there is Conti malware, ransomware that is active. You want to see if there is any asset that is also exploitable by Conti. You can ask a second question to the platform. It will understand what you asked already. Hey, show me everything that is exploitable by ransomware on my critical assets. And then you can further go ahead and ask the question. And you can even speak in a way that the platform understands. And it's going to translate that into QQL and get you final results. So this is something that we can use very shortly. It's going to come into the platform within the next quarter or two. But the way to think about this is we are also thinking about how do we take this to the next level? How do we make this a way for our customers to engage with the platform even further, like creating reports, creating dashboards, sending in email. All those capabilities will become available at a later point in the platform. So that concludes my presentation. Thank you.